Ho, 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 gentlemen. The holidays have come early this year as Manscaped have the gift that keeps on trimming. Santa's beard isn't so appealing when it's coming out of your trousers, and that's why Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, have you covered this holiday season. Now available in your country, join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped to keep their trees trimmed and ornaments polished. Go to manscaped.com and use code DTR for 20% off plus free shipping.
Stafford under pressure, and a tuck it, and he's in! Darrell Henderson, he's off and running! As Woods, touchdown! Cooper Kupp just went up and took it away.
Van Jefferson for the touchdown.
Aaron Donald smothers him. Jalen Ramsey put the pop on him. Sacked by Leonard Floyd, having a day again. Darius Williams with a diving hit.
Jordan Fuller comes up with his second interception of the night.
All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm your host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host, Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you guys a few days before the Rams take on the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Always very exciting when the Rams are prime time, you know, especially against a division rival. We were prime time last week against the Titans. That game did not go how we wanted it to go. Nevertheless, it was prime time, and we are prime time again, like I mentioned, against a division opponent. And Jake and I are going to preview that game and give our thoughts on that matchup. But first, we have some Rams-related news to talk about. And the big thing on the agenda, Jake, I'm going to get right into it. The Rams have we haven't traded. Sorry, that's force of habit. The Rams have signed wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. to our team. Most football fans are familiar with Odell Beckham Jr. Most sports fans, and honestly, just most citizens are familiar with Odell Beckham Jr. He's a very, very big celebrity. He's a very big name. It all kind of started with that miraculous one-handed catch that he made when he was on the Giants, I believe his rookie year against the Cowboys. And he kind of propelled himself from there. He's a very flashy player. He makes big plays. He's a big personality. And his big personality has not always kept him, in the good spotlight, I should say. He does have a few knocks on him for some outbursts and some, quote unquote attitude problems. But Jake, I'm not worried about this. I think that he is coming to a team that is ready to win now. Everything that the Rams have been doing, including this signing of OBJ, is to win now. And Odell Beckham is aware of that. Now, Jake, I want to hear your thoughts on this signing, and I want to hear your thoughts especially because we learned today that wide receiver Robert Woods has torn his ACL in practice and is out for the season. I know I just threw a lot of news out there, but this all kind of now ties together. So, Jake, I want to hear your thoughts about the Rams acquiring Odell Beckham and what this means now that we don't have Robert Woods anymore.
This just sucks. I mean, it really sucks. Thank God they did get Odell Beckham Jr. But I'm just absolutely furious with the way that ended up working out. It's just really unfortunate. We're never going to get a chance to be able to see Odell, Woods, Kupp, and Jefferson. And that's really what it sounded like they were gravitating towards, playing more 10 personnel with 4 wide receiver sets. And it's just really unfortunate. Robert Woods has been a model of consistency. He's been their, do-it-all guy, a guy that is willing to take on more of a role, basically fitting him in there as a blocker, what have you. He's allowed Cooper Kupp to have his best career season this year. I mean, he's really, he commands attention. It allows Cooper Kupp, single matchups. Teams don't want to double team Cooper Kupp because they have to worry about Robert Woods and so forth. So this is a significant loss. And if the Rams weren't smart and went out and got Odell Beckham Jr. to begin with, this could be absolutely detrimental to a Super Bowl team and their Super Bowl hopes. So I thank God that they did it. But let's not, lose sight of exactly why, we've wanted Odell Beckham, why we wanted, at least, for me, at least why I felt like the Rams had to make that move. It was because of the possibility of this. So it is super unfortunate. I feel really bad for Robert Woods. I've met him before. He's just a great human. And, just seeing anybody go through an injury like that just really sucks. But, Robert Woods is one of the good guys, really hardworking. You just hate to see it. And so now the Rams are going to be playing for him, damn well. But it's going to be very interesting because Odell Beckham Jr. is confirmed he will play on Monday Night Football. And they're going to throw him right in there, likely as the wide receiver 3 until, he gets control of the offense, and then probably he'll be wide receiver 2. But they're going to have him, Van, and Kupp just right off the rip. And so this is a huge opportunity for Odell Beckham Jr. to really reinvent his himself, reinvent his reputation, and kind of control his own narrative here because, you kind of hit on it earlier, how people have their own opinions of him, and he is, definitely a very polarizing player. And I won't get into how, I feel about him because I feel as though the narratives are overblown or they're unfair. But regardless if I'm right or wrong, he has a chance to make his own path. And so now, you hate to see it happen this way, but if anybody was worried about targets for OBJ or targets for, Van when OBJ came to the Rams, you can't be, worried about him now because there's going to be plenty moving forward. And I think, Odell has a huge chance if he can, step up. He now has to actually fill the void that is left behind due to injury with Robert Woods. And if Odell comes in, and works his tail off and this team wins the Super Bowl with his help, all of those diva and cancer and all of those type of, comments and different concerns about his game will just look absolutely laughable. And it'll make you question everything, if you haven't already, about all the crap that he's been dealt with throughout his career.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like careful what you wish for, right? I mean, I think, Odell Beckham was frustrated in Cleveland with his role, so to speak, and his dynamic with Baker and some other things going on that we don't fully know the details of, but he wanted out of Cleveland. He came to LA because he wanted to go to a contender. And now with Robert Woods' unfortunate injury, Odell Beckham is going to have a huge role in this Rams offense. I mean, him and Cooper Kupp are the two main guys. You've obviously have Van Jefferson as well. And then that fourth wide receiver spot, in my opinion, is going to be dominated by Ben Skowronek because, remember, we have Tutu Atwell, who's out for the season, Jacob Harris, who is also out for the season. Now we have Robert Woods, who is out for the season. So really all there is Ben Skowronek. And I just think Odell, like you said, he has a massive opportunity here. There's a lot of pressure now on him. But if he can come out and he can give us, flashes of the old Odell, well, what other people call the old Odell, I think he still has that talent. I think that he still, is very much an elite player. Then he, like you said, he is going to change the narrative. So as bummed as I am about Robert Woods, because that's just absolutely horrible. Like you mentioned, I love Bobby Trees and it's such a killer to lose him. I am excited to see OBJ take this opportunity. And in my opinion, I think he's going to step up. So it's going to be really interesting to see, like you said earlier, he is going to be playing on Monday Night Football against the 49ers. So he's kind of like getting baptized by fire. He's getting thrown right in there, obviously very new to the team. So we'll see what happens. But Jake, let's get into the matchup against the 49ers, who are one of our division rivals in the NFC West. They are tied with the Seahawks for last place. They are 3-5 currently. And Jake, the 49ers are kind of a weird team because when I look at their roster, they have some talent. I actually think they probably have more talent than people give them credit for, but the way that they've been playing this season wouldn't show it. They also have injuries. They had a lot of injuries last season, as most Rams fans know. They've got some injuries this season, and they also have kind of a weird situation at quarterback. They have Jimmy Garoppolo, currently playing at quarterback, but then they also drafted Trey Lance, 3rd overall. There's a lot of debate about that position. Jake, going into this game against the 49ers, what do you think the Rams need to capitalize on in order to win this game?
Yeah, I think they have to capitalize on the fact that they're banged up in the secondary. The Niners are. I mean, you look, there's injuries all over the place. Looking at the injury report, doesn't look like they'll have Hasty, who is their backup running back. Doesn't look like they're going to have Hurst. Doesn't look like they're going to have Kirkpatrick, Sanu. So there's, a lot of players that are out, including Tavon Wilson, the strong safety. So you're going to want to attack that secondary. The Rams receivers can do that. It absolutely sucks that Robert Woods isn't there. He does a lot of incredible things. Now, if this could happen at any time, this is probably the best time for it to happen, as bad as that sounds, because the Rams still have their bye. They can focus on this. Sean McVay is going to use a bye as a vacation. He is going to work, and he is going to try to find ways to alleviate the pressure off this offense, because without Robert Woods, again, he does so many different things. They're going to be able to game plan and do things like that, using that bye week to get prepared to go to Lambeau Field and go up against a team that knocked him out of the playoffs last year. So, looking at this and how you beat the Niners, you take advantage of, attacking that secondary. In addition to that, you can run the football against them. On top of that, they have a gaping hole at right tackle because Mike McGlinchey is out for the season. It's going to be Tom Compton, who is just not a very good, for lack of a better term, just not a very good tackle in this league. And so whether it's Von Miller on that side or Leonard Floyd, that is a huge mismatch. And so I think the Rams have a big opportunity, especially with the way, big time players like, Fred Warner have played this season. They haven't been their best. They haven't been the Fred Warner or maybe the Nick Bosa that you're used to seeing. The Rams have to take advantage of that. And that's how they'll exploit the Niners and hopefully win the game.
I agree with you. I think that the Rams need to capitalize on this injured secondary. I think that the Rams are already a team that if they get in the rhythm with the passing attack, they can be very deadly. This has the potential to get very out of hand if the Rams can do that. We talk about Odell Beckham. This is a very good opportunity for him to have a big game. It's a very good opportunity for him to come out first game as a Ram and impress. I think that's probably what the Rams' game plan is going to be offensively. You mentioned they can run. I do think they could run the ball as well. When you look at their roster, obviously the biggest threat there, to me, up front is obviously Nick Bosa. Fred Warner, like you mentioned, I haven't seen so much of him this season, but I have heard, like you mentioned, that he's having an okay year. Samson Ebukam, who used to play for the Rams, has been rotated in at linebacker for them, but I don't think he's played very much. So I think the Rams can really have their way with the San Francisco defense. I think that, if we play smart and we play to our full potential, it could get out of hand very quickly. But looking at our defense, Jake, transitioning into what our defense needs to do to stop the 49ers offense. I mentioned earlier, their quarterback situation is okay. It's not, entirely as strong as I think the 49ers would like it to be. There's obviously that kind of low-key battle between Garoppolo and Lance there. I want to talk about their running game, though, because their running game right now is led by 2 rookies. Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, if I'm not mistaken. Those are the 2 on the depth chart, the 2 running backs right now, because they have so many people out due to injury. So I'm not sure that those 2 rookie running backs are going to be able to run the ball effectively against Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd and Von Miller and all of the guys in our defense. And then when you look at their wide receiving core, they've got Deebo Samuel, who a lot of Rams fans, despise because he has some kind of beef with Aaron Donald that I think is more one-sided because I don't think Aaron Donald cares about him. But then you've got Brandon Ayuk. What I always pronounce it wrong.
It would be Ayuk.
Ayuk. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, him and then Mohamed Sanu. So, they're not super strong in that receiving core. I think Ayuk and Samuel are pretty decent, but I don't, they haven't been having the greatest season. Well, Samuel's actually been having a pretty good season. I'd say that he's, their best receiver. And then George Kittle is back. I almost forgot. Very good tight end for them. So they do have a really good tight end in George Kittle, although he is coming off of an injury. We'll see how he does. I think his first game back was actually last week. But Jake, looking at this 49ers offense and looking at the Rams defense, especially their running back core, which is basically all rookies right now, do you think that there's anything that the 49ers can do to score on us?
More is always better. That's why MyBookie instantly doubles all first-time deposits. With double the funds, you can double your action and, more importantly, double your wins. Getting in on the action has never been easier. I can bet with all my favorite currencies, including crypto, and with all the extra scratch, why not get in on the biggest matchups of the week at MyBookie? As we inch closer to the NFL playoffs, there are some pivotal games to be on the lookout for this weekend, including a showdown between the division rivals when the San Francisco 49ers take on the Los Angeles Rams. Behind MVP candidate Matthew Stafford, the Rams are looking to continue rolling as they take on the fierce 49er defense. The Rams are legit. Bet them to cover the spread. Don't wait. Head to MyBookie today to redeem your double deposit bonus so you can get in the game and start winning now. Use my promo code JKDTR, that is JKDTR, to receive double your first deposit instantly. That's promo code, damn it, I'm going to cut that, but that's promo code JKDTR so you can double your funds to double your winnings. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Girls, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of finding a bush when I go down in my man's chimney. Dear Santa, all I want this holiday season is for my man to have smooth jingle balls. Thankfully, Manscaped answered with the Performance Package 4.0, so I don't have to find Santa's beard in my man's pants again. Ladies, this holiday season, get your man products that will leave him smelling fresh with their all-new ultra-premium body wash and a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. It's time to give the man in your life the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use code DTR for 20% off plus free shipping.
Yeah, I actually do. I look at the Niners. I think they're going to want to get some, first off, they're going to want to get that run established. Elijah Mitchell is part of a pretty solid running game. They haven't really used Trey Sermon as much as I, would have liked them to, because I was a big fan of his coming out of college. But Elijah Mitchell's had some games where, he's really gone off. They have 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. They're one of the best red zone offenses in all of football. To me, and keep in mind, a lot of that is without George Kittle, who just absolutely astronomically makes their, offense better. Not just their offense in general, but, especially the red zone offense. So, looking at that, I think they're going to want to, establish the run, set up play action, and take advantage of, I assume they're going to be playing bend, don't break, per usual. But, with Von Miller, maybe they change things up. Maybe they go more aggressive. They, have more. They don't have to blitz. That's another thing that isn't being talked about enough. By adding Von Miller, assuming he plays Alexis, I don't know if you realize this or not, but the Rams aren't really going to have to blitz. They're not going to have to send their safeties, their corners. Ramsey won't have to blitz, Rapp, Fuller. And that opens up opportunities where if you're getting home on a 3 or 4 man rush, you can keep those guys back there. It's going to make it harder for Jimmy Garoppolo to go through his progressions and be able to find the open man. He is fairly limited at quarterback. I know he is 3-0 against the Rams, but let's call a spade a spade. He is not one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And this is probably the best team he's faced out of those, the next, if you're putting those 3 games and then this team, of course, all together, this is probably the best team he's faced. This defense is just unlike anything he's seen because, we haven't seen, a front with Von Miller, Aaron Donald, and Leonard Floyd. That's unheard of. The Rams haven't had 2 guys on the outside that were that dominant.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that kind of transitions us into our predictions for this game, because when I'm looking at this matchup, you mentioned this earlier, the 49ers offensive line. So again, kind of reversing from what we were just talking about, but I think this is going to be a really big day for our defense, which is exactly why I really, really hope that Von Miller plays. I don't want to rush his injury, obviously, by any means, but I feel like the vibe has kind of been that he's going to play on Monday night. If that's the case, I think that he's going to have a big night. I think that this could be, Jake, a very entertaining game in terms of first games for Rams, for Odell Beckham and Von Miller. So that's going to be my predictions. Now, Von Miller ends up not playing. Obviously, I'm completely wrong about this, and my predictions this week are void. But Jake, I think that Von Miller is going to have a sack in this game, and I think that Odell Beckham is going to have a touchdown in this game. But I also think that some other defensive guys are going to get sacks. I think Leonard Floyd is going to have a sack. I think Aaron Donald might even have a couple sacks. Like you mentioned, this 49ers offensive line, other than Trent Williams, I'm not super impressed by. Alex Mack's okay at center. It really hurts them losing Mike McGlinchey. And I'm not just saying that. Everyone on Twitter knows I'm a big Mike McGlinchey fan. I was a big fan of him at Notre Dame. But his replacement, Tom Compton, like you mentioned, not very good.
Flat out the reason they lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots when he was with the Falcons. I'm just telling you that right now. Ryan Schrader got hurt, and all of a sudden, Matt Ryan was getting baptized.
Well,
there's not a coincidence there.
Good news for us. Good news for us then. What's interesting is they have Daniel Brunskill at right guard. The 49ers currently do, and his backup
very well the last time against Donald.
Brunskill?
Very well. I was very impressed when I went back and I watched the tape. Brunskill held his own against Donald, and Donald has not forgotten about that.
Well, Brunskill, you're right, but Laken Tomlinson is their left guard, and maybe you can refresh my memory because I'm not remembering how he's playing, but the left and right guard, their backup is Aaron Banks, who's a rookie out of Notre Dame, who I am a big fan of as well. And as much as I would love to see him get playing time, I hope it's not against the Rams, because I really believe in him. And I hope that he just doesn't come into the game. I don't know. I haven't watched enough 49ers games this season to tell if they are rotating those offensive linemen in and out. Maybe you would know that, but I was just pointing that out.
Yeah, they're pretty good right now. The 49ers have a good offensive line. It's just really their weakest link. You're as good as your weakest link. And Tom Compton is a severe weak link that, you should be able to take advantage of. I mean, we saw it. Bobby Hart came in for the Titans at left tackle, and immediately, all of a sudden, they were getting a ton of pressure on the left side as soon as Taylor Lewan was out. So, the Rams will take advantage of that. I have no doubt. It's just a matter of who will take advantage of that. Will that be Von Miller? Will they switch Leonard Floyd's spot? I mean, Von Miller has basically said he doesn't care where he is on the field. He's rushed from both sides. He's got sacks on both sides. We know he's predominantly in the same spot where, you do see Leonard Floyd. But I would imagine that Von Miller is going to take over the other side.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be a big night for the defense. My last prediction is that I think Cooper Kupp is going to receive for 150 yards. Here's the thing. I think that while Odell Beckham, I think, is going to have a big game, I think that Stafford is obviously naturally more comfortable with Cooper Kupp. And now with Woods out, I think Kupp is going to get a lot of targets this game. Obviously, if you have Kupp in your fantasy team, you probably have already been starting him every game because he's having like a historic year. But this is going to be a game that I think he's going to do wonders for every fantasy team that he is on, because I think that he is Matthew Stafford's safe place. So I think that Matthew Stafford is going to be targeting Cooper Kupp a lot this game. Jake, do you have any stat prediction? Well, we'll get into our score prediction, but any stat predictions for this game?
Yeah, I'll hit you with a few here. I have Matthew Stafford throwing 330 plus yards and 3 touchdowns. I have Odell Beckham Jr. catching a touchdown. I have Von Miller getting 2 sacks. And I won't spoil the win prediction or whatever, win-loss prediction, because we haven't gotten there yet. But those are the stat predictions I have. I didn't really touch the running game because coming into this game, I just wasn't really sure how much that they would run the football. especially after, word came out they were going to run a lot of 10 personnel with Odell. It sounds to me like they really want to have those 4 receivers. So I wouldn't be surprised. This is late in the week. It's enough. It gives you enough time knowing the Robert Woods injury now. It gives you enough time with Monday Night Football being the case and not Sunday, where you could make adjustments to the game plan, right? But at the same time, you can't change the game plan entirely. You can make subtle adjustments. So if they were planning on going with a lot of, heavy 10 personnel, and keep in mind, the 49ers are not good against the empty. They're actually giving up, I think they're giving up the most yards, per pass, when quarterbacks are in empty. So we're going to see a lot of empty sets, I think. And, regardless of the fact that, Robert Woods is out, I expect them to get Skoranek involved. They've already shown that they're okay with using him. They feel comfortable with him. They could get Darrell Henderson involved, using him out wide. They could get Tyler Higbee. Maybe, they try and get, Blanton or Bryson Hopkins. I mean, this Rams team is going to look different because the Rams have lost both Jacob Harris and Robert Woods to injuries. And now, the Rams at tight end are extremely slim there. But now at receiver, if they didn't go out and get OBJ, you'd be looking at Skoranek as, wide receiver 3. So it really goes to show you, as the season goes on, there's a chance we'll start to see, different player jerseys, player numbers that we haven't really seen involved a lot this year.
Yeah. I agree with you on Skoranek because, and I tweeted this today, they had already started using him, but now with Robert Woods out, I think they're going to use him even more. And I don't think Odell Beckham is really going to change that because Odell Beckham is really filling in my opinion, wide receiver, 1/2 for Robert Woods. But I think that Skoranek has been in the offense, and I think that Stafford trusts him, and we've seen him get some action already. So again, definitely something to look out for. Now, in terms of score predictions, in the beginning of the season, I predicted that the Rams would beat the 49ers 24-3. I'm going to change that up. I still think the Rams are going to win, but I think the Rams are going to win 31-10. I do think that we might end up giving up a touchdown to the 49ers at some point during the game, but I think the Rams are going to score way more than I originally thought that they would, looking at this offense now and looking at how the 49ers have been playing. Jake, what is your score prediction?
It's like I almost want to change it because I feel like they're going to come out with a fire we haven't seen playing for Robert Woods. When they lost Cam Akers before the season, I'm sure, they've been playing for him. Don't get me wrong, but it just hits differently because you weren't with Cam Akers. It happened before training camp. It's one of those things that sucks. And obviously they don't forget about him because he is in the building, but it isn't one of those things like where in the middle of the season, you are a 7-2 football team. You just made a huge acquisition to go out and get a player that would complement everyone else around him. And you lose, one of those players, a key cog in that offense. I think, again, I'm not trying to discount the injury to Cam Akers. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. I'm trying to make sure the audience does. But what I'm saying is essentially, if the Cam Akers injury happened right now, then it would be like we're playing for Cam Akers. It'd be like a fire. I feel like how much you can just see how much Robert Woods means to the locker room, how much he means on the field, how much he means to the coaching staff, and just his, how hard he works. And I feel like that's going to rub off on the Rams. And I could see them absolutely blowing out the 49ers because, I could really see them coming in. Sean McVay gets the monkey off his back against Kyle Shanahan, and they play for Robert Woods, and we just see a fiery offense we haven't seen since week 1 of this season against the Bears. But I'm going to go with a safe pick here, 31-19. I think the Rams are clearly better than the Niners, but they are playing on the road. They are a pretty good road team, by the way. I don't have them going crazy with the 40 or 50 points or anything like that. I know some people think it's going to go that far. I will just say this. I won't be surprised if it happens. I'm going to stay, as far as predicting, I'm going to be realistic here and focus more on the fact the Rams typically score over 30 points in every game, besides last week, which was kind of fluky. So 31-19 is going to be my prediction. I can see, early on, they get Deebo Samuel going, whether it's jet motion, things like that. He takes advantage and, maybe they get a chunk play or two. But I think the Rams defense is going to really shut them down. I think you're going to see some sacks, maybe some strip sacks, maybe some interceptions. And then that offense, I think, is just going to be clicking. It's going to surprise people, but I think Odell immediately is going to have an impact in this game. He's not going to be the quote-unquote wide receiver 2 because he just doesn't know the offense as well as Van or Kupp, but he's going to be a very interesting player where, maybe they just get him going in bubble screens and just have him do his thing, get him the ball in space. But either way, I think he catches a touchdown this game. I think the Rams win 31-19, and they use the bye week to prepare, get the offense acclimated, whether or not they're going to stick with a 10 personnel type of deal like they planned on doing, to go to 11 or even 12, maybe even look at adding potentially Golden Tate to the roster over the bye week to add more depth. But either way, I think that they're going to get it figured out and get this win and head to Lambeau and get ready to play Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and the Packers.
I agree. I'm excited, guys. It is a little weird on Sundays not having a Rams game, although I still watch football all day, and I know that you do as well. But we do have to wait that extra day to see the Rams. I think it's going to be worth it. And, we will see Odell Beckham Jr. as a Ram. Still feels surreal to say. I don't think it's going to hit me that he's really on the team till he hits the field. But guys, that's going to do it for us for now. As always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Craft. You can follow Jake at JK Bogan. And guys, we will see you after the game with a recap episode. But until then, stay safe, take care, and go Rams. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DTR at manscape.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and make sure to use code DTR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.